Good evening, lovely viewers. Welcome yet again to another episode of the Environmental Dialogue here at UC TV. I am your host for the day, and my name is Patience Alaso, a climate change activist, an entrepreneurship mentor and coach, a public speaker, and we are yet to know more about me. But today is not really so much about me because on set with me are two amazing, adorable ladies. Every evening we get to discuss about the impact of climate, impact of renewable energy on our communities. And today again, we get to digest a topic that is relating to our climate. And we are going to be talking about the impact of climate action on our urban cities. So with me on set are, again, two lovely ladies, and that is Stella and Queen Latifah. Before I go into the nitty-gritties of who they are, how about we give them an opportunity of introducing themselves to us, beginning with Stella.
Thank you so much, Patience. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stella Mutes. I'm a very passionate coffee farmer, and I'm a teacher by profession from Makerere University. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be on your screens right now.
Amazing. Over to you, Queen Latifah.
Thank you very much, Patience. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you all. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Queen Latifah Hatim, and I'm a passionate innovator as well as a civil engineering student in my final year at Makerere University.
Wow, thank you so much, Queen Latifah. As I said, these are passionate young ladies in different spheres of life, and today we are going to be disseminating and dissecting the topic of climate change on urban cities. So, beginning with you, Stella, What can you say about climate action and how is its overview on our urban cities?
Thank you so much, Patience. Climate change significantly affects the urban areas because of the dense population in the urban cities, like in urban areas. So I would say people should be very, very vigilant and be educative about climate change because it's much of impact in urban areas. Okay. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes, and we cannot, in the present day, not discuss about climate action, simply because it is one area or sphere of the environment that affects us. Climate change is one area that is being witnessed in all regions of Uganda and all across the country. Many might think because of rural areas, those are the areas that are supposed to be affected. But we get to know that even our urban areas are greatly affected by climate change and climate action. So for the viewer there who might not know what climate action or climate change is, we'll have our own Latifah also give us a definition of what climate change is.
Thank you very much, Patience. Climate change is basically the long-term shift in average weather. So basically it's a change in climate, right? And especially looking at urban areas, these are areas that are densely populated, as Stella said. Yeah. They're very vulnerable to climate change, and as well as they're very they're the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. They contribute about 70% of greenhouse gases. So these are areas that need to be looked at and also sensitized to ensure that people in these areas know about climate change and know how to mitigate it.
Okay. Yeah. So taking it from that, I would personally like to know what are some of the challenges that people within urban areas are facing in relation to climate change?
In regards to that, in urban areas we see a lot of flooding. Let's say Kampala. Yeah. Yes. Kampala is very prone to flooding. We see areas like the Ginger Road roundabout. Every time it rains, you see that floods are happening. Also Nakawa, right? Actually, in 2020, there was a 56-year-old woman who drowned in the Nakawa drainage channel, and it took around 2 weeks to find her body. So this is something that is causing real impacts. Like people's lives are being lost, right? Yes. So that's why urban areas are very prone to flooding and climate change impacts.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know why people come to urban areas. They're looking for better jobs, better settlement areas, And basing on what you have just said, Queen Latifah, does that mean people should desist from coming to the cities? Does that mean government should ban people from coming to the cities? Because this overcrowding in the cities we get to see is one of the biggest contributors of climate action. And basing on some research, it shows that over 67% of global emissions are as a result of a lot of activities that are happening within the cities. So what would you say? Would you rather that we limit the number of people that come into our cities, or?
I think that's not okay. I think that limiting the number of people coming in the cities is not like maybe the ideal solution.
Yes.
We have to adapt with the reality that we're dealing with right now. Yes. And the biggest challenge, especially when it comes to floods, like the drainage systems are not adequately designed. Okay, they were designed well, but by then they had not catered for the climate change, right? So that means KCCA and Ministry of Works, they have to come in and upgrade the drainage channels, you know, like redesign them and also improve them so that they can easily accommodate the stormwater, the amount of stormwater that is entering them. Yes.
Okay, and Stella, what would you have to say about that?
About the
Yes, and about the situation in our cities and how it's one of the causes of climate change.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, people tend to, just like you said, people tend to migrate from rural areas to urban areas. But I would urge the government to put more emphasis on climate change in rural areas, like to educate people about climate changes so that they can just settle in their in their areas. You get my point? Yes. The government should put more emphasis on teaching those village people, the rural people, about climate change, how climate is going to affect them in their yield, so that they don't look for greener pastures in the city.
And actually, to add into her point, another point, like the behaviors of people in like the urban areas is not so well when it comes to solid waste management. Like already the drainage channels we have are not adequate, and on top of that they pour solid waste inside the drainage channels, causing it's like they're worsening the situation that we have. So the government should like sensitize these people about proper solid waste management, so that we work so that we can head there when it comes to solving the flooding issue.
Okay. Yes, and me and the different viewers can attest to the fact that we've seen many lives being lost due to flooding, and especially in our ghettos, as we might call them, or you know, the slums, the different slums of Namongo. Talk about why you say at the end of the day, do you think government has not done what they're mandated to do to solve that problem?
The government has really tried to put in effort in drainage. You see, everyday roads are being upgraded, yes. Yeah, but people lack some knowledge about waste exposure and stuff like that.
Okay, so I think when we are talking about cities, we cannot fail to talk about carbon emissions, because with cities we have a lot of industrialization, and also directly linking it to SDG 11, which talks about sustainable cities and communities. And what affects most of our communities is really the emissions, the carbon emissions. The carbon footprint is literally increasing given the high levels of industrialization, high levels of you know, gas emissions as a result of increasing transportation and the like. So what can be done to reduce on our carbon footprint? For example, Queen Latifah, you're an innovator, you are a researcher. So what do you think can be done to reduce our carbon footprint?
Okay, so in regards to reducing the carbon footprint, we first of all have to tackle the cause, right? That is burning fossil fuels. So we have to innovate. Okay, yes, okay, people have innovated, yes, but there's still that mindset of like people are not very open to like the new sustainable energy options that we have, that don't release greenhouse gas emissions. So we have to innovate more sustainable energy solutions, as well as encourage people to adopt them and leave the burning of fossil fuels. Maybe also telling, like sensitizing people about the benefits and also the dangers of burning fossil fuels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think on the side of government, this has been done. The sensitization is being done, and they've tried to reach out to all the different regions, the different cities, just to sensitize people. And as you've said, there's need for innovators to come on board and develop solutions, which we've seen government try to do. For example, last year during the National Science Week, we had the Prime Minister, Honorable Robin Anabanja, come through to support innovators in the science field, in the climate field. So we are seeing action that is geared towards the same. And as a farmer, as a coffee grower, we are looking at green spaces. Okay, we are looking at urban farming as one of the ways to combat climate change. It's a means of climate action that is trying to preserve or rebuild our cities. So what would your opinion be in regards to urban farming?
I also come back to the government, that they should impact the layman, those village people, so that they can get to know about the green farming, the sustainable agriculture. You get my point? To stop those things of that has been happening. You get my point? The old mode, so that they get to know about the green farming, the sustainable agriculture solutions.
Okay. Yes, I actually honestly think that urban farming is one thing we would adopt, because at the end of the day, imagine I have my homestead and I have a pot of tomatoes, and I don't really have to go to the market to buy the same. You get to see that these impoverished families are still the ones suffering in that regard, and yet they could have a very small segmentation at their place and then produce their own food. And in regards to our forestry as well, when it comes to our urban cities, because we really want to make them sustainable. We are looking at economies all across the world that have been able to succeed at this. We are looking at China. They are at the peak of developing sustainable cities. And so my opinion would be that we follow suit and try to develop sustainable cities, because that is one of the ways through which we are going to contribute.
Comes with sensitization and impacting some knowledge. Yes, to the farmers mostly.
And also to add on that, these electric vehicles and electric motorcycles, they're really also a good option when it comes to reducing greenhouse gases. But I feel like the adoption is low.
Okay.
It's low. It's low. I don't know if it's because these are more expensive or something, but people have not really adopted them that much.
Yes.
As of yet.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we need to move according to the pace and faster than the pace.
Exactly.
Because climate action, as SDGs 13, is one that's mandated for every country to contribute towards to. And at the end of the day, if we are not involved, if people are not sensitized, then our contribution is really very minimal. And you talked of flooding, and what has the effect been on housing within the urban cities? For example, when flooding happens, do these people remain in the cities, or they are forced to relocate or go back to villages? What's the effect it has on their incomes and their economic growth of the country?
It has actually destroyed people's homes, people's businesses. Every time it rains, like in those flood-prone areas like Kabusu, for example, like every time it happens, it causes disaster, and people are losing their businesses, their jobs. And at the end of the day, they'll see that this area I'm living in is not. So it's causing me a lot of issues, and they shift and go back.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's causing a lot of relocations, and the problem is the government is not putting in so much effort in what? In disaster preparedness, in like relocating these people. Like when these people are displaced, no one cares. No one comes in to be like, you guys, where are you going to go after? So they end up being alone, and that's a gap I'm seeing on a personal basis. Disaster preparedness is
preparedness. And in relation to that, what do you think are the necessary incentives that the government can put on ground? One of them you mentioned is disaster preparedness. What else do you think government can do?
The government can also incorporate technology.
Okay.
Yeah, technology in solving all these things. Like now, let's say flooding, it can incorporate technology in flood forecasting, so that we are ready for this. We're ready, and we know that the rainfall on this day is going to be higher than expected. So people know that, okay, yes, now flooding might happen, so people living around that area, be prepared.
Plus urban development.
Yes, exactly.
Urban planning. The government should invest more in urban planning. Like they have to put in good infrastructures that can sustain the climate change.
Changing climate.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, when you talk about how government can alert the individuals living within those areas, I feel like to some extent it encourages them to stay there, and government does not want that. Okay, we've seen government try to retrench and displace people who are living in flood areas with an aim of making them industrial sites. Okay, so giving them forecasts and all these incentives might be the ways government is encouraging them to stay. And could it be that government is not doing this simply because...
That's why the government should invest more in the urban planning, just like I've said. Yes. They should put up plans. They should plan for the urban areas so that it's convenient. You get.
And also, just to add on her point, the government should also give a plan for these people. Like, you don't just displace people. Like, where will they go? I know those guys who are living there don't mind shifting as long as you're going to give them where living.
And as long as it's not the village.
Yeah.
I mean, they can go back to the village, no problem.
Says the farmer. The farmer is very comfortable. In the village, you have an opportunity, you have your spacious land. So tell us more about your coffee growing, because coffee is, as Uganda, we are considered one of the best coffee exporters, okay? Yeah, and coffee growers. So what's the opportunity in coffee farming, and how is its contribution when it comes to climate action?
I would actually talk about the effect of climate change into coffee growing. Personally, it has affected me a lot, because I had to put in a lot of money, you get, into irrigation and stuff like that. You have to employ people to irrigate for you your farm. So I would talk about the effects.
Okay, please.
It has impacted negatively when it comes to climate change. You're expecting rain, it shines, you get. So you have to, when the coffee is still young, you have to irrigate them. You have to give in a lot of water so that it doesn't dry.
Yes.
So the climate change has negatively impacted at some point, because you have to put in a lot of money.
Exactly. Okay, and coming back to you, Queen Latifah, you're an engineer student at MOOC, and you're also an innovator and researcher.
Yes.
So what do you think, within the area of innovation, what do you think are some solutions or things that can be done in relation to climate change? What can we invent, innovate, that is going to help us build sustainable cities?
Sustainable cities. When you talk about sustainable cities, we also have to look into the fact that cities have homes as well, buildings, infrastructure, roads. So it's all like it's a complex system. So we start from each component of the system has to be sustainable. The roads have to be designed in a way that they accommodate the large volumes of stormwater that enter the drainage channels. Then also the buildings should also accommodate, because there's something called the urban heat island effect, whereby the urban areas are hotter. Yeah, they tend to be hotter than the surrounding rural areas. So the buildings you construct, like let's say like the commercial buildings, for example, you have to incorporate cooling systems. Like you have to care about like this is also going to happen. Like at some point it's going to be hot, right? Because we see like nowadays sometimes you can feel very hot, like the temperatures are so high, right?
Yes, and increasing.
So that's because now for example, if you're at your house and you feel that effect, that's a sign that your home is not sustainable. Like you never designed for it,
for that.
Yes.
So you would have incorporated a cooling system, you would have minded about that. So it's a sustainable city is a complex thing. It starts from everywhere, and you have to cater for it in each and every category.
Exactly. And we are seeing heat waves increasing. Day by day they are constantly increasing, still because of increasing carbon emissions and the ozone layer getting, all these effects and the like. So government is doing this and that. We talked about the roads that are being constructed. I don't mean to pry, but the time at which the roads are being constructed is very timely for the politicians and the like. And looking at the situation, because just as you say, the roads, all this is a complex system and contributes to the economic development. For example, if government was not to really tackle the issue of roads, it impacts on the economic development, and that's the well-being of the different individuals. And so do you think this is going to be sustainable by government? Because how about 10 years down the road and the roads are still looking as dilapidated as they were? So do you think this move is sustainable?
I think it's sustainable, but on conditions. Because even if you construct like a road, there has to be a proper maintenance plan for that road. Like you have to check on it, like monitor the drainage system, see if it's adequate, redesign. Some of these roads are exceeding their lifespan. So you don't just stop there like and construct the road and relax, because one time that road is going to exceed its design capacity, and the same problem is going to happen. So it all comes down to maintenance of for example, the roads. I will talk about maintenance, and if people are disciplined enough, I think we shall get there. I think.
Okay.
The personal point of view.
Yeah, that would definitely be it. And still, on the point of innovation, how can we use innovation to contribute or align ourselves with climate resilience?
Climate resilience, yes, we can use innovations, especially when it comes to farming, Stella's farming, coffee growing, incorporating. Now, like for example, climate change causes sometimes the rainfall is not reliable. Sometimes it's little, sometimes it's a lot. So if we can incorporate sustainable agriculture and innovate what?
Put up some things that can sustain the changes in the climate.
Like maybe technologies that can monitor the moisture contents in the soil, automatic irrigation systems, things like that, to adapt with what we
adapt
with the change.
Yes, and I honestly think there are many innovations out there. I train young people in entrepreneurship and financial literacy with an NGO that I work with called Junior Achievement Uganda. And you see young people, for example, there's a team that was developing a solution when it comes to the coffee farming. They were developing a system which could track the quality of land on which you are growing your coffee, and then they are able to forecast and tell you, okay, this is good, this is bad, in the next few years this will not be good, or this is the amount of water that this land needs. So for me,
they came up with equipment to assess the soil.
To assess the soil and its quality, just to boost Uganda's, main source of coffee. And at the end of the day, these innovations are there. They are here. They are happening in here. And I think what we really need is continuous sensitization and also funding for these amazing
Funding.
individuals.
Even actually scaling. Yes, innovations can be there, yes, but then they've not yet reached to the point of what? Of scaling them so that people can access those innovations.
Yes.
So I feel like innovations won't really like help if people cannot access them.
True.
Yeah. So people have those innovations, but let's say if Stella wants to access that innovation, she has nowhere to buy it from. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
To affordability.
Even affordability. These innovations could be expensive for a traditional farmer to
Just
access.
like the irrigation systems, they are quite expensive because you have to get some pipes to get the water to the ground, then get the equipment that help with the irrigation and stuff like. So it comes back to affordability. They should make them affordable,
accessible.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes, so this goes out to everyone who is listening to us. We hope that you are following through with what we are trying to discuss and develop for our city. Because at the end of the day, these are the cities we live in. These are the cities our siblings, great-grandchildren are going to live in, and that's the need for us to develop sustainable cities. And without this action, this goes to any one of you, Queen Latifah and Stella. Without this action, what are the risks we are facing if we do not act when it comes to climate change?
First of all, the first risk we are yet to face is the food insecurity. You get, food can be very, very scarce in terms of, when it comes to climate changes. In case of drought, I remember in 2009, there was some good climate change. There's a drought, and people lacked food seriously. So it comes with food insecurity in both urban and rural areas. Mostly in urban areas, by the way.
Exactly. Mostly in urban areas. The source of our food is from rural areas. So if their climate is not favoring, it will affect literally the ecosystem within the urban areas. Food prices go high. The economy itself, that's when you see price fluctuations going up simply because the source is greatly affected.
So it brings the food insecurity.
Also damage to property loss and property damages, loss of lives. Loss of lives. And if this is actually not tackled, more problems, like if you don't solve like the current problems, more is just going to accumulate. Like worse is this going to happen. So we really have to care about climate action, and people take it more seriously. Actually, I think there's some people don't see climate action or climate change as something real. I have some teacher of mine who say that climate change is like a religion. Like some people who are seeing climate change like a religion, they're over hyping it up, yet it's like, you get it. So people think it's still a joke, and they actually have to take it seriously.
They have to, because it impacts everyone.
It does. It does. The effect might not be direct, or it might not be felt so pronouncedly at that very moment and by an individual, but in the long run, we always look at the long run. Okay, the long run is what makes the effect very evident. That right now I cannot see it, but after a few years I get to start feeling the pinch of the same. And when you talk about food insecurity, this is really immense, and yet when you look at what other sources have to say, there's, in as much as we are looking at plastic pollution and the like, there is also food wasted that is happening a lot. You cannot imagine the chunks of food that are being thrown away every day, and yet there is someone in Karamoja who has nothing to eat. And so all those are areas for me as an entrepreneur, I see them as opportunities for us to jump on, expound, and provide these as solutions to the people being affected by the same. So you get to see that the risk is everywhere around us. We risk having, drought in our cities simply because of deforestation that is happening. We risk having flooding cases rising and sea levels increasing.
water scarcity. Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and also a lot of discipline is required. Like people, as I said earlier, like throwing of of solid waste in the drainage channels. People need to know that the plastic bottle you're throwing out of your car today could cost someone's life.
True.
Yeah.
In the long run.
In the long run, like as I told you, a 56-year-old lady drowned in the Nakawa drainage channel in 2020.
Yes. These are all effects felt by people.
Innocent people.
Innocent people. So we talked of sensitization. How further can they be involved in combating climate change? How can we involve them? Because we are seated here as innovators and as farmers, as the people on top.
Yeah.
But what happens to that farmer? Because I believe you have quite a number of them. What happens to these people we are innovating for? How can we involve them to actively participate in climate action?
Personally, I would say sensitization.
Oh.
Yes, people should be, especially in the village, people should be prepared for climate changes. But you know what? It's going to be what? Sunny. You get? We're not going to receive too much rain. People should be sensitized about these changes. Yeah, people are very, very, most especially in the villages.
Yes.
People are very, very dormant about it.
Yeah. Sensitization it is for you. And how about you, Queen Latifah?
I knew that now for innovations, we have to also cater for, like, as you're innovating, you have to cater for the people you're innovating for.
Yes.
Right? And these are people in different categories, the children, the youths, and the seniors. And also educating them about the innovation, the importance of the innovations. I mean, like let's say sustainable energy, like informing them that this is better than what you are doing. It's better than the fossil fuels that you are burning. Like mindset change. You're changing their mindset to adopt to the innovations. Yes, that's a really a gap.
Amazing. We are still here and the show is still ongoing as we continue to dissect issues relating to climate change and its effect on our land, on our environment, and above all, within our cities. As usual, you can always catch our show live every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And if you want to have it watched on YouTube, you can catch us from 9 to 10. So we are going in for a very short commercial break, and after that we'll be back to further discuss what our role is when it comes to climate action and the rest. So catch you after this short commercial break.
UCTV, good news for all.
Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank, agribusiness solar loan of up to 50 million shillings for a solar-powered irrigation system on your farm. Enjoy a grace period tailored to your cash flows and loan offer amounts from 100,000 up to 50 million Uganda shillings with flexible loan periods up to 60 months. Apply for a Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan through our branches, agents, and enjoy a fixed interest rate of just 1.7% per month. Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan today and watch your farming dreams come to life. Visit any of our nearest branch today or call our toll-free line 0800 200 555 or 0800 335 344.
Centenary Bank.
Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Terms and conditions apply.
Support the Uganda Catholic Television with MTN Momo. Step 1. Dial *165*3#. Step 2. Enter merchant code 180572. Step 3. Enter any amount from 500 Uganda shillings. Step 4. Pay using MTN mobile money. Step 5. Enter PIN code and send. Step 6. You will receive a confirmation text for supporting the Uganda Catholic Television.
Ronaldo down in the area, penalty!
Don't miss the Sports Link on UCTV. Catch us every Monday to Friday from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. as we take you into the thrilling world of sports in football.
Saka shoot, deflects in, Arsenal have the lead!
Netball,
Nasanga taking the shot. Look at that exceptional steal.
motorsports, boxing, swimming and much more. UCTV Sports Link with Samgenza Mustafa. Only on UCTV. Good news for all.
Tiene que soñar.
Hello and welcome to UCTV. Welcome to Connect with Mary.
You're the Alpha and the Omega.
The Catholic television. I'm Sunday Gloria Watch with UCTV News.
We need people to pay for content.
Bernardo Silva, Matheus Nunes, and Haaland!
Swings it across to Christie.
UCTV. Good news for all.
Oh, Susanna.
Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Rixel. Whenever it turns your lunchtime, we keep your vibes spiced always with your number one lunch show.
No, I don't see it often.
We entertain.
I'm so insecure.
Educate, interact, inform, and hold random interviews every Monday to Friday from 1:45 to 3 p.m. only on UCTV with me, your host, Rixel. The Lunch Vibe. Keep your vibes spiced always.
We are sister counselors. We are here to share with you about a number of topics, issues concerning human life.
We have groups, can have a group of children, a group of youth, families.
We also offer workshops to a variety of group of people. We go to schools, we go to parishes, to sisters' congregations.
Every Monday, Saturday and Sunday.
Children, how are you feeling? Are you happy? Are you being punished for nothing?
The elderly, are you feeling challenged in the world? Are you rejected?
Husband and wife, don't miss.
UCTV. Good news for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from that very short commercial break. This is the Environmental Dialogue on UCTV, and yet again we have amazing panelists that have been here. They are still here to give us more of the information they have about climate action, climate change, and its impact on our urban areas. And so we are going to look at what effect transportation has on the livelihood or lives of the low-income earners within our cities. And I'd like Queen Latifah to give us an insight on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Patience. So the low-income people are like the most vulnerable people affected by climate change. When you look at a city, it's the low-income people who are affected the most. This is because these are people who don't have enough funds to relocate in case there is a flood, in case there is displacement of their property or destroying their property. So for the vulnerable people, these are like the government has to putting more attention to the vulnerable people. right? Planning for them, as Stella said earlier, like urban planning.
Yes.
Yeah, planning, like even if it's a slum or an informal settlement, at least it should also be planned well, right? The proper drainage systems, proper waste management systems. Yeah, because you look at the informal settlements, there's a lot of discipline happening.
Yes.
A lot. People throw solid waste in the drainage channels, even the fecal sludge, like from the pit latrines, they direct it to the They direct it to the drainage channel. So that's why we see a lot of disease outbreaks, in informal settlements. Informal settlements, cholera, malaria, due to the stagnant water. So basically, what I'm trying to say is climate change is affecting the whole population, but mostly the vulnerable people. Yes. And therefore, attention should be put onto these vulnerable people. Yeah.
Exactly. And we definitely see this, and the effect is immense. It is almost, it's almost going out of proportion when it comes to the people in rural areas, in urban areas, and slum settlements. At the end of the day, climate action is one thing that we need to focus on. And you've talked about the drainage systems. We also see how much dumping is happening, dumping of plastics within
That's worsening the situation.
It's worsening the situations, and this does not stop in the drainage areas, but it ends up into our landfills. It also ends up into our water bodies, and at the end of the day, it becomes so hard to solve. Sometimes I move around the city and you literally just see someone drink a bottle of Renzori water and they just dump it on the road. And at the end of the day, you can't help but question, where is this ending up?
There is slower recycling.
And also, as you talked about they're interconnected failures.
Yes.
Interconnected failures. If people throw solid waste into the drainage channels, this will cause flooding, displace people's lives, as well as destroy the road also.
Exactly.
Cause potholes. Then when the potholes happen, it can cause accidents.
Yes.
So if you don't solve a problem from the root cause, it keeps on building up, and one time to reaching it, you can't really
do anything about it.
It's too much.
Yeah. It's way beyond your control.
Exactly. And also the what you said, the solid waste dumped in the drainage channels in informal settlements, as well as the poor discharge of fecal sludge from their pit latrines, like all these things end up going to the water bodies, increasing water treatment costs, right? And yet these chemicals that are used to treat the water are very expensive because they are imported. So at the end of the day, it's us who are going to be affected.
Yes.
Yeah, it's our government, and yeah.
Okay, that's very right. And over to you, Stella. These initiatives, because we cannot ignore the fact that the Ministry of Water and Environment is trying their best, and they're trying to contribute to clean water and improving the livelihood of people. So the different incentives, initiatives, and roles being played, how are these helping to reduce on the effect of climate action?
They're really helping because they're putting up adaptation strategies. They are trying to teach people how to adapt.
Yes.
They are putting up strategies for the people to adapt in that situation. Just like in farming, where I'm so much centered in, they are introducing to us crops that are drought, like they can sustain in that drought, you get. So they are putting up strategies that can help to adapt.
Okay, so earlier on, before we went for the commercial break, you talked about urban planning, and let's disseminate this. Let's make it very understandable to the layman that could be listening to us right now. That how can urban planning further be reimagined to support people living within these urban cities? So what's the outlook of what a preferable urban plan would look like?
I don't get it.
Yes. what I'm trying to say is we are looking at preparing or presenting a better plan, okay, of what a sustainable city would look like. Maybe let's say we are talking of urban farming, or we are talking of rebuilding our dams and the like. So what do you think is a favorable urban plan that can help us contribute to climate action?
I think the government should incorporate the NGOs and stuff like that. They should bring in those, like, every kind of organization that is interested in helping out, probably.
The stakeholders.
Yes, the stakeholders. They should incorporate in the NGO organizations.
True.
They should, to help out, because that thing needs a lot of funding and stuff.
Yes, and to you, Queen Latifah, people viewing us might not know, but I've met you in different innovation scenarios, and you are developing something that I think could really, I don't know if it was, you are trying to extract energy out of transportation. Do you mind giving us an insight into that? Because I feel like that's one of the things government needs.
Yeah, okay. Our project is called the Eco Drive Energy System, and its main overview is redefining the role of roads in combating climate change. As you mentioned earlier, transportation is indeed our biggest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions, right? Coming from the exhaust gases that are coming out of the cars. So we want to make it like a blessing in these days, whereby, okay, yes, even if transportation is really causing us a really big challenge, but let it also help in what? In generating sustainable energy.
Yes.
So we are trying to generate sustainable energy out of the weight of moving vehicles on a road. Yeah. As you explained, sustainable cities want sustainable roads, sustainable transport, whereby now if that energy is generated, it can be used to charge electric vehicles.
Exactly.
Right? So it can be used to light the road. So it's like the road can cater for itself.
Yes.
So yes, that's the overview of our project. Yeah.
Okay, that's quite impressive. Very impressive. And for me, at the end of the day, it's the level of impact that it can have. We are talking about electric vehicles and electric motorcycles. At what rate are they growing within Uganda? Because we cannot talk about climate action and not talk about renewable energy. So at what rate, or how fast is this technology being embraced within Uganda as a country? We've seen Elon Musk developing this over the years, Tesla as a company, and the idea is coming down to African countries, and Uganda in particular. We sit on electric borders and the like. So how fast do you think we are embracing this kind of technology as a means of combating climate action?
Okay.
At some point, we actually adapting easily to the ongoing sustainable development. Because so far right now, people, in case you are buying a car, you have to make sure it uses electricity more than fuel. Yes, that is one of the considerations someone looks at right now. So we are adapting quickly. That's, in my own opinion.
Yes.
People are trying to adapt, because that is one factor, that is one thing that someone looks at. Yeah. If it uses electricity.
Yeah, and also I think mindset change. Okay, people are adapting, but there are still there are people who are still not adapting to that change. So there's need to as you mentioned, sensitizing them and changing their mindset.
Yeah.
Because let's say for example, patients, if you want to buy a car, do you think you're like, let me buy an electric vehicle because it helps the environment? Someone won't look at that first. They look at the cost, maybe the benefits. So at the end of the day, even if electric vehicles are there or electric motorcycles, there has to be an incentive for people to buy them. They have to be at least affordable, right? Or using less maintenance money, or something. So people can adapt if there is an incentive, there's an advantage they're benefiting, right? Yeah. But I think people are doing well, especially the youth.
Yes. When you say the youths, of course, we are considered one of the countries whose highest population comprises of youths. Okay. My panel here is of youths, people. I am a youth myself. And whoever is watching us might be a youth. Okay, in Ugandan standards, until you are 35, you are still a youth. When it comes to the UN, is it 20 years? By the time you reach 20 years,
you're already a youth.
By the time you're 20 years, yes, you're already a youth. So at the end of that day, the role of youths within climate action is very evident. And I'd like to know from you what you think the youths could do going further. Because we are trying to develop a community or a city that is for us. It's not for our elders, because their years are, being counted. We are the ones that are going to be here 50 years from now. So at the end of the day, what role does a Ugandan youth have to play within ensuring that we have sustainable cities?
First of all, the youth should get into the idea of sustainable development ideas.
Okay.
Yes, when it's agriculture, look for sustainable agriculture. Yes, don't go back to the other formal kind of way. Yes, they should look up for
like incorporating sustainability in their work.
In their work, innovation and stuff like that.
Because actually, sustainability ranges in different professions, not only engineering, farming specifically, but in every profession you're in, at least try to incorporate sustainability.
Yes.
Yeah. Try to minimize the waste. Let's say if you're a doctor, try to minimize that hazardous waste. Like try in your different capacity, Yes. Yeah. So the youths have a great role to play. They have to engage in innovations, right? Research, and also incorporating sustainable designs. Sustainable designs. For example, now for engineering, like the water sector, you can incorporate something called sustainable urban drainage systems. This is something that is being done in urban areas. It's called sustainable urban drainage system, or SUDS. Like these are things like porous pavements, like pavements that can drain water. So that helps to reduce the flooding incidents that we have, right? Yeah, and also green roofs, and also bioswales, and different options. Yeah, and also changing their mindset, and maybe also youths can try to educate their parents also, because in this world we don't live only as youths, we live with our parents and maybe seniors and children. Yeah, to train different capacities to make people love sustainability and encourage them to adopt to these solutions.
Exactly, that's the role you can play in combating climate change, and that can be your what is it? Role. That can be your role or your contribution towards building sustainable cities. Stella did mention that they can go do agriculture in a more modernized way. Then I remembered our lovely Ugandan youth when it comes to agriculture. Okay, they tend to run away from that. Okay, and we are considered a food basket of East Africa. At the end of the day, youths are running away from that. But with modernized agricultural systems, modernized irrigation systems, I think we can still use that as a platform to thrive and grow our incomes as the youth. So if you're a youth out there and you're running away from, farming, agriculture, please think twice, because the economies that the economies that we see, like China, given the effects of war that they had to go through, they utilize modernized ways of farming. So we are wrapping up our session, and I would like to get final remarks from our lovely panelists. And yes, let me hear it from you, Stella. What do you have to say to the audience as your parting shot?
About the climate change? I think the government should put more emphasis on educating people, on sensitizing people about climate change, because it's impacting negatively and positively to the what? It's impacting negatively and positively, most especially, actually not even in urban areas, both in rural and urban areas. Yes. So the government should put in more emphasis on climate change, on teaching people about climate change and stuff like that, because it's much of impact to the people. Yes.
Thank you. Let's hear it from Queen Latifah. What are your parting shots to our lovely audience?
Our lovely viewers, thank you very much. I just want to encourage you all to advocate for sustainable practices in your cities, and also sensitize your fellow friends about climate change. Teach them about it, teach them the impacts, and also teach them how they can adapt to climate change. And also engage in innovations, because this is a battle. The climate change battle is a battle for everyone. Yeah, we have to innovate and fight it together. Thank you very much.
Exactly, thank you. I really thank my amazing panelists. You have been amazing. And to our audience, yes, you've heard it from them. Innovate, create, love your cities, because what affects you will affect those coming after you. And yet again, remember, it is a period for Christmas. So we would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please, our show is always aired live from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Always catch us at UCTV during the Environmental Dialogue. Thank you for being with us, and we hope to meet you again next week.
UCTV. Good news.